A very, very good morning to all of you. I am CA Ridhima Bhati. I hope everyone is doing a lot well in this festive season and coping up with studies altogether. So, to begin with income tax, I'll be taking you through chapter 1, basic concepts, and then we'll go to chapter 2, residential concepts, and then residential status, and then we'll be taking exempt income chapter 3. So, one by one, we'll be beginning all together. So, I'll give you people 2 minutes to settle down yourself and be excited for this income tax journey which starts from today. A very good morning to all of you. I'll just randomly give a wake up call to everyone. Subho, good morning, Sujal, Riyanesh, Anuj, Harshish, Shambhavi, Harini, Shubham. Very, very good morning to all of you. I hope you are as excited as I am today to start this new bud called income tax. And you'll see how this is such an interesting journey to understand income tax. And when you'll do your article shift after clearing the inter exam, how interesting it gets scope up and just it gets wind in your entire system. And you see how practically it's such an interesting thing and a challenging thing to do. Hi Abdul Qadir, hi Prabin, hi Yukti. So just few things I'll say before starting the class. Please be participative. Do not worry whether you're giving a wrong answer or a right answer. Just try to participate. If you have any questions, please take it. Please feel free to ask anything, because if you'll not ask today, it might haunt you later. So please ask all your questions. And if in case I miss any questions during the class or during the topic, please feel free to ask them again towards the end. Okay? So let's start with today's class. तो सबसे पहले students income tax को समझने से पहले let's understand how the economy works. Now government है, okay, so there is a government who runs the economy, right? And then they do a lot of expenditure. Let's connect it with your economics chapter which you studied in class 11. They do a lot of expenditure, infrastructure wise, health wise, education wise, women, child development. All of these things involve a lot of expenditure. They keep on running schemes to give us some welfare in our hand, right? But how does this thing work? Now forget about economy for a second and think about yourself. How do you work? How do you manage your expenses, or how the family expenditure are managed? It's you get an income, you put that into expenditure. Similarly, for the government also, if they have to make so many expenditure, they need revenue. So pardon my handwriting. So they need revenue. And from where this revenue comes, there are lots and lots and lots of areas from where the revenue comes, but the major source is taxation. So to give us the welfare scheme, they take the tax from us on the income. And it's not only something which is a concept only relevant to India. This is how generally the economy works around the world. They take the revenue from the people and then they utilize it for the people. Now, if you will know, there is a Ministry of Finance which is headed by our Finance Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. So there is this ministry who consider everything in relation to finance. Finance include expenditure also, revenue also. Usme there is a Department of Revenue. And usme say there is Department of Revenue mein one part is my CBDT, which is Department of Direct Tax. So direct tax ka revenue is under the Department of Revenue, obviously, which is ultimately under the Ministry of Finance. Now, these all information, students, will not only help you understand income tax better, but will help you understand the financial scenarios and the news going on around India. Okay, so CBDT takes care of direct tax revenue. Obviously, then there is indirect tax, CBEC here. That is another leg. So direct tax. Now I'm saying again and again, direct tax, direct tax. Now what is direct tax and what is indirect tax? Now school में या starting में हमें एक difference बताया जाता आता था डायरेक्ट टैक्स एंड इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स के बारे में, राइट? बट व्हाट एक्चुअली these two things mean? What is direct tax and what is indirect tax? Now government क्या करती है? The government, there are two types of revenue through tax. One is on consumption, on value addition, and one is on income. One is on income and another is on consumption or the value addition done in the economy. So income means now this is my income, this is my direct revenue. So what I do is I give tax on it directly to the government. I give tax on it directly to the government. So government को जो person earn कर रहा है उसी से tax आ रहा है, that is called direct tax. So the person earning the income directly pays to the government is called direct tax. Now what is indirect tax? It is generally what a person or a consumer pays on consumption or on the value addition which happens in the economy. So you go and watch a movie, you're paying a GST on it. That is, you are consuming that service and you're paying GST on it. And that GST is not deposited by you to the government. The PVR person will deposit, or the cinema hall person will deposit that GST to the government. So though it is again going from your pocket, but not directly to the government, first it is going to the PVR person and then it is going to the person as in the government or the authorities. So that's why it's an indirect tax. Okay. Now our focus from now onwards would be on this, and this would be obviously taken on your part B, which is where you'll be covering the GST part. Okay. So now we come back to direct tax. Mera income, mera tax. Now एक चीज students हमेशा याद कर रखना कि be it any law, and be it anything which you think is as simple or as general as to know, there will always be definitions to it. हर लॉ में हर एक पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट की जो उससे रिलेटेड है, there would be definitions to it. What did I say? In each law there would be a definition for each particular thing. So if I'm saying income again and again, the Income Tax Act defines what is income. If I'll say now, there would be certain terms which you'll be using throughout your life when you're doing income tax, like previous year, assessment year, all of these things are defined in the law. But before I move to tell you what is law, let's understand few things again, how the legislature works. Now, abhi tak, this is all about legislations and understanding how we are revolving around the concepts of law. One is, there is Constitution of India, right? And then there are various laws, or they say acts. Now, Constitution of India kya hai? Constitution of India is a compilation of rules applicable to, or a framework applicable to an economy for general citizens, right? That is the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India ke part itne mein, article itne mein, so and so is written, and that becomes your primary right or primary duty. So that is Constitution of India. That is how an economy will work. Acts are what? Acts are specific laws or specific enactments come into picture for a particular type of subject. So we have various laws in India, like various, you cannot name the number of laws actually. So when I say Income Tax Act, this is your act which governs the income tax. When I say your Negotiable Instrument Act, that is an act which governs the ecosystem of negotiable instruments. When I say Transfer of Property Act, it tells me about the transfer of property. So those are relating to particular subject matters, and those are related to particular persons who are covered in those, right? But Constitution of India is for everyone. Constitution of India is for everyone. This is for general citizen. I'll tell you why I'm explaining it, because it will help you relate better. So Constitution of India was made once by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and we are following it. Now acts का कैसे होता है? How do acts get processed? Act का क्या होता है? It's a parliamentary procedure. How? Any act before coming to enforcement is a bill. This is your political science thing. It's a bill as in a proposal which is made by the government. It can be by central government in their parliament. It can be by state government in their legislative assembly. That depends. So this bill is proposed in the parliament. It is passed by both houses of Lok Sabha, both houses, one Lok Sabha, one Rajya Sabha. Once it is passed by both the houses, upper and lower houses, it goes to president for the assent. Once the president signs, it becomes an act. And that becomes legally enforceable throughout the territory it covers. Okay. So Income Tax Act was effective, and now whenever you are writing the word Income Tax Act, you should always write the year from which it became effective, which is 1961. So for you, this is your everything when we are talking about income tax. So Income Tax Act was passed and made effective from the year 1961. So whenever you're mentioning any act, make a habit to write its year also. Clear? Now, as in all we'll understand more of the things, but abhi के लिए this is just a framework which I'm telling you. इसमें core taxation से related कुछ नहीं है, but एक general understanding है कि हाँ, this is how actually system is working. Any doubts up till now? Harshit, just wait, everything would be sorted. Correct, Raj, absolutely correct. So this is all about your chapter, basic concepts. First, as I told you, now we are coming to components of the law. What are the components of the law? First, we'll discuss this. Then I'll give you a framework or an overview of how the income is determined. What is the import? How you actually do it by step, because this is a journey which will go throughout your inter level, throughout your final level, and you will keep on learning and adding new things. So this is like a whole journey in it all together. But before doing this, you should always know certain definitions. So these are the important definitions which we'll be covering. Assessee, assessment, person, income, India assessment year, previous year. And then towards the end, we'll be covering you the charge of income tax and the rates of income tax. Okay. So this is how we'll be going step by step. First few parts can be a bit theoretical, but students, when I say, please be assured that the more you understand income tax, the more the concept, the more step by step you're understanding your income tax, the basic concepts part will automatically go strong. So do not worry if you think, ma'am, ये तो बिल्कुल भी unrelated है. No. Step by step, this whole journey would explore, and you will see that yes, now it is connected more. And once you do the entire thing, and when you come back to square one, you'll see that square one is nothing. It's extremely easy. Okay? So before going to it, I was telling you about constitution and acts. Okay. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इतना बड़ा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, इतना सब कुछ है, मतलब there is not just one thing, it covers so many things. And when I say so many things, so how do you read so many things? There is a division. They are divided into parts, and then each part is divided into articles so that it becomes easier for a person to make reference to. Like if I have to refer to something, say Article 14, I say Article 14 of so and so part of the Constitution of India, rather than just naming the topic. So it's like dividing the topic. जैसे आप word file में para numbering करते हो 1, 1.1, 1.1a. Similarly is this part constitution part articles. But acts may we say we refer to the word section. So the act is divided into section. This is more broad. This is quite narrow as compared to it. So acts are divided into section. Constitution is divided into part and articles. So you will never say section Article 14 of Income Tax Act. You will always use the word section. Sections are divided. And obviously, इसके पहले एक चीज आता है, act is divided into chapters and chapters are further divided into sections. It's a flow which goes on. There is nothing, there would no breaking into it कि पहले section 1 आ रहा है, फिर section 14 आ रहा है, फिर section 2 आ रहा है. It's in chronology. So chronology you have to understand. ठीक है? So now let's understand कि income tax को समझने के लिए what all things I have to refer, income tax को grab करने के लिए what all things I should know and how I should be updated about it. ठीक है? Now income tax is not just one thing. It's not just one thing. Income tax का सबसे पहले तो power किसने दिया? भाई ऐसा तो नहीं है कि सुबह उठा और सब गवर्नमेंट का मन किया कि चलो रेवेन्यू के लिए हम टैक्स लगा देते हैं. नो, दिस पावर हैज टू बी लेड. दिस पावर हैज टू बी लेड एंड वेयर ऑल दिस इकोनॉमिक फ्रेमवर्क इज गिवन in the constitution. Constitution gives the power to the government to levy income tax. Now when I say government, next question will come in your mind, state government or central government. So interestingly, Article 246 of Constitution of India, Article 246 of Constitution of India में 7th schedule में एक list आती है जिसका नाम है list 1, list 2, list 3. So there are 3 types of list in Constitution of India. List 1 is called Union List. Another is called your State List. And another is called Concurrent List. 3 लिस्ट आती हैं आपके इसके कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया में. व्हाट इज यूनियन लिस्ट, व्हाट इज स्टेट लिस्ट, व्हाट इज कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट? यूनियन लिस्ट में इट विल कवर ऑल द मैटर्स which the union government, which is the central government, has a right to make the law on. So that means इसमें जो भी लिस्ट में जोन से मैटर्स होंगे, मैटर्स एज इन एंट्रीज, जो लिखा होगा उस पे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का राइट है टू मेक द लॉ, बिकॉज एनीथिंग वुड ओनली बी इन्फोर्सेबल इन इंडिया थ्रू लॉज. एंड लॉज कौन बनाएगा? गवर्नमेंट. बट हाउ विल आई नो कि कौन सा गवर्नमेंट बनाएगा, सेंट्रल या स्टेट? सब कुछ सेंट्रल पे नहीं डाल सकते बिकॉज India is an economy of is a union of so many states, right? And then states where there are so many small parishads, zilla parishad, gaon, gram, and all of these things. So everything cannot be a burden of central government. That's why they divided into 3 lists. Okay, on these matters, central government has the right to make the law, and these will be the matters which are of in a macro situation importance, a macro important matters, right? स्टेट लिस्ट में कौन से मैटर्स होंगे जिसपे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट लॉज बनाएगी, उनपे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इंटरफेयर नहीं करेगी. एंड कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट, एज द नेम सजेस्ट, इस पे वो मैटर्स होंगे जिसपे दोनों बना सकते, स्टेट एंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, बोथ ऑफ देम कैन मेक द लॉज ऑन इट. सो आई रिपीट अगेन, यूनियन लिस्ट में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट विल मेक द लॉज. यूनियन लिस्ट में व्हाट ऑल मैटर्स आर लिस्टेड, उस पे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज द राइट टू मेक द लॉज. स्टेट लिस्ट में the state government has the right to make the laws, and concurrent list में both of them have the right to make the laws. So union list में एक entry है, entry number 82, मतलब bullet number 82 में clearly लिखा है. So in entry number 82 it has been clearly mentioned that the central government has the right to make laws on taxes of income, but they cannot tax the agricultural income. So they have a right to make laws on taxes of the income other than agricultural income. So first of all, government को right किसने दिया? Constitution ने. Who gave the right to the government? Constitution ने. Constitution में which article? Article 246 में list 1 में 7th schedule में list 1 में entry 82 gave the right to the central government to make the laws. Now state list में भी वहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है कि state list में the state government can make the laws on agricultural income, but right now till date no particular state has taxed agricultural income because they do not want to hurt their voting class, which is the main farmers. Okay, so agricultural income pay, those state lists where it is given that they can make a law on it, but they have not made and exercised that power. Okay, so ma'am, do we have to remember it? No, this is for your general information which you should know. Moving ahead. Now, when central government is given right to make the law, they will make the law. So that law gave the birth to Income Tax Act. The Income Tax Act, the main act which covers by all sections. This was passed in the year 1961, Income Tax Act 1961. Isse pehle there was Income Tax Act 1922, which was there in place. But obviously, once the government was formed, they came into an manner that they know how the economy should run. After almost 10, 12 years of independence, 12, 13 years of independence, they made income tax. The Income Tax Act 1961 came into picture. It was effective from 1st April 1962. It has sections from 1 to 298. But it does not mean that there are 298 sections. There are around 900, 500 something sections. And there are so many schedules. So Income Tax Act 1961 में sections है, sections are subsections or clauses and subclauses. Now यहाँ पे let's see the interesting thing. How do you refer to something? Let me show you a particular thing. One second. Yeah. So as you can see, Income Tax India का website है. यहाँ पे you get the acts related to income tax. So यहाँ पे you have so many acts which impact somewhere or the other the Income Tax Acts. यहाँ पे Income Tax Act में गई. Now all these are divided into sections, but obviously they are in a part of a chapter. So when I go to say section 2, sorry, slow internet. So you see, यहाँ पे section 2, ये 1 शुरू हो गया, ये 1A शुरू हो गया. Then there is 1B, 1C. You can see. So how do you refer to them? Now this is my section 2. Now in general, all the acts have definitions in section 2. In definition which govern the entire act. वो कौन से section में होते हैं? Section 2 में होते हैं. You can see any other act also. You will see that in section 2. Now coming back to how do you say it? Is it section 2 subsection 1 or is it section 2 clause 1? How do you refer to it? So students, when there is no direct reference between this and this, it becomes independent clauses. Like section 2 clause 1, section 2 clause 1A, agricultural income का definition से advance tax का कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. Agricultural income की definition से there is no relation of advance tax. So each of it is an independent clause. So they are referred as section 2 clause 1, section 2 clause 1A, section 2 clause 1B, section 2 clause 7A, and these are all subclauses. So section 2 clause 7, subclause A, subclause B, subclause C. Now, if I show you some other section, say I want to show you section 35. Okay. Now, इसमें section 35 में you know that this section 35 का subsection 1 and this is section 35 का subsection 1A, because 1A is in 1A I will get to know only when I have understood section what my subsection 1 says. So to reach to 1A I should read it entirely, so they are related. So this is section 35 subsection 1. This is not section 35 clause 1, this is 35 subsection 1. So to sum up, you will use the term clause when it is not directly related to the entire section, like we saw it in definitions wala part, or we'll see it in section 10. They are all independent provisions in themselves. So then you use the term clause. Otherwise, you use the term sections को आगे define करने के लिए subsections. So sections are divided into subsections like this, or they are divided into clauses. But how do you call it? Depends on the relation between one subsection to another. That will be subsections. If there is no relation between a provision and its next provision covered in one section, it is a clause. Clear? And you will see this is directly starting from 35.1, and on the contrary, section 2 was a general heading, and then it started with each independent clause. Clear हुआ? धीरे धीरे usage के साथ you will understand it why you refer a particular thing ठीक है. So income tax act में various sections हैं. Please do not use the word articles. Income tax is not divided into articles. Income tax is divided into various sections. So Harsh, I'm just giving you an explanation यहाँ पे. It's a concept, it's like a story to understand my income tax law. ठीक है? Topic by topic, everything would be done. All sections, do we have to remember? This question is, I think, everyone's favorite question, and it will go on till the final level. Abhi, focus on what we are doing. Do not worry about the entire income tax. Don't worry. Okay, step by step, we'll take all the things. So, सबसे पहले remember, this is your homework to read what all we are doing. Again, I'm saying you will ask me कितने marks का आता है. This is not about marking. This is about making the foundation strong. If you have a foundation strong, whatever you built on it would be strong. Okay, so please dedicate some hour, as in 1 or 2 hours, to understand what and why are we doing it. Okay. Then sections also have provisos and explanations. धीरे धीरे पता चलेगा provisos क्या होते हैं. If something is in like this, provided. So to clause 1A, subclause C has a proviso. How will I say? Proviso to subclause C of clause 1A of section 2. फिर से repeat after me. Proviso, first proviso to subclause C of clause 1A to section 2. Or you can say section 2 का subclause 1A का section 2 का clause 1A का subclause C का proviso. Now provisos are the conditions which are kept it. That this would hold good provided this is there, or there comes something alternate. So that is called provisos. Now, explanations are what? Explanations are for removal of doubts. Okay? If there is some word used here which I'm not clear about, it can contain definition, it can contain a certain clarification. So you see, removal of doubts for the purpose of this clause. So all the proviso and explanation are respective to a particular section or a particular clause. This does not govern all the things. So this explanation is only for the particular clause. It's not for the entire section 2. So provisos and explanations are for a particular section or a particular clause. Is it clear? Now will you be able to understand? Good. Then we move ahead to understand the next element, which is my Annual Finance Act. The Income Tax Act to aa gaya 1961 mein, okay. But you know, income tax is such a subjective thing. Every day or every other time, new types of rules, laws, regulations, global level pe things are happening that everything needs to be taken care of. And Income Tax Act is such a huge act. Passing that every year will not do good. So, considering the economy's requirement, expectations, which is like budget, their future needs, they come bring in Annual Finance Act. Finance Act क्या होते हैं? जो हम budget बोलते हैं ना, उसमें एक bill introduce होता है, which is called finance bill. In the budget, a bill is introduced which is called finance bill. That bill, when passed through the act, passed through the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, becomes the act, and hence it's called Annual Finance Act. So it's an annual exercise. It's an annual exercise keeping in mind the performance abhi tak jo hua and what they are hoping to perform. Who? The government. So keeping in mind the government का क्या expectations है. Annual Finance Act is not only Income Tax Act, it has all the allocations of budget, all the allocations of expenditure, what they aim to keep it at, how much the inflation they see, how much fiscal deficit they aim to keep. So it's a annual exercise. जैसे आपका annual financial statements बनता है, you get to know your expenditure, government का your expenditure revenue statement. Similarly, government makes an annual exercise of bringing in the Finance Act, and that is what we call budget. Every year on 1st Feb, the budget comes through Finance Minister. That is when a bill is presented. So if you have heard any of the budget speech, you'll see now, Madam Speaker or Madam Sir, now I present the finance bill. It will never say I present the act. Act tab tak nahi banega when it is passed, until it is passed from both the houses of parliament. Okay, so now when the bill is passed, it becomes the Finance Act. So उसमें जो changes आते हैं, what are all the changes brought through that act is incorporated in income tax. So what all the changes are brought through a particular finance act is incorporated. मतलब वो additions या deletion की तरह income tax को modify कर देता है. ठीक है? So instead of modifying the entire income tax and presenting it again and again, the changes in income tax act are brought to finance act. So if I show you an example here, see, अब यहाँ पे something is omitted, and if you can see this word omitted by Act number 12 or 2020, which is my budget का कुछ act हो या finance act हो, तो यहाँ पे सब वो आएगा. So what all changes are brought by? They are brought by a finance act in the income tax act. So finance act के through I can bring major changes in the income tax act. That does not mean that I cannot change the income tax act during the entire year. Then we passes ordinances. ठीक है? So income, अब मेरे को income tax law समझने के लिए मुझे first of all क्या बाइबल मानना है? My income tax act. But income tax में changes कहाँ से आते हैं? Finance act के through. Every year finance act के through changes come in. ठीक है? Then I also have to refer to income tax rules. The next thing which I have to refer to is income tax rules. Why, ma'am? What is this now? So the act tells me what is the law. The rule tells me how to follow it. So Act tells me that depreciation is allowed, but rules will tell me what is the rate of depreciation. So it will give me an insight about the administration of the provisions of the Act. Please listen to the word administration of the provisions of the Act. So Income Tax Act बना, उसके साथ साथ Income Tax Rule बने 1962 में. So Income Tax Act is 1961, Income Tax Rules are 1962. So उसमें all the rule schemes. Also similarly, Finance Act के through भी rules में changes ला सकते. If you need to add on something, you can add it on in rules. अब जैसे and this is for so many act. उसका act होगा, उसका rules होगा. Act का law book होगा, rules का law book होगा. Rules will tell me what all things have to be considered for administration of that particular provisions. ठीक है, जैसे rule book होता है वैसे income tax rules है. Then we'll say you will see when you will see chapter by chapter, you will see circulars लिखा हुआ है, notifications लिखा हुआ है. Now, what are these circulars and notifications? Remember, school में कुछ बताना होता था, so एक circular लग जाता था. Similarly, circulars are notification there also in income tax department. See, we cannot wait for the entire year to bring in some clarification, to give in some clarity, to bring in certain details to the assessees. So how do we get it? We get it through circulars. अब छोटा छोटा minute details आपको कुछ inform करना है. How will you get it? You will give it through circulars and notifications. Now who will give it? This department, the CBDT. Remember, सबसे पहले बताया था, CBDT comes up with circulars which are general clarifications for a particular provision. Sometimes a clarification is required, sometimes more light on a particular provision are required. So they come up with circulars. ठीक है, अब कोई provision आ गया, उसका rule भी आ गया, but उसमें some more help is required, some more clarification is required. तो stakeholders क्या करते हैं? They present their doubts, CBDT consider it, and they bring it through circulars. Notifications can be through central government and CBDT. If you have to bring in certain notification, if you have to bring in certain quick changes, they bring it through notification. ठीक है, इसको there is no need to pass in the act or pass in the parliament. They have the right on, see, act will give them the right that central government can pass a notification on this, and then whenever the central government feels right, they can pass a notification on it. Act ने इनको power दे दिया to pass the notification. So hence it is not required to pass all these circulars or notifications in the parliament. So do you get it? So again, when I have to study income tax in detail, first I'll refer to Bare Act. Bare Act means Income Tax Act. Then I will see the changes which are coming in. So I'll take the updated edition of Income Tax Act always. Please, यहाँ पे, if you have seen, Income Tax Act लिखा है. See, interestingly, what is written as amended by Finance Act 2022, because that's the latest. As amended by Finance Act 2022, that means Income Tax Act which stands now updated as per the latest budget. If I click on Income Tax Act 2014, it will present me the Income Tax Act 2014 wala edition, which was as per that budget ka changes. Okay? So, back to it. Income Tax Act is the entire which contains all the sections. उसमें कुछ amendments आता है through Finance Act. Income tax rules tells me about how a particular administration or how a particular section has to be governed. Circular notifications are time to time regular intimations from the department or the central government, and central government is given the power in the Income Tax Act under a particular section to pass the notifications. ठीक है, but इसके बावजूद, even after all of these things, there are situations which you may need to refer to interpret the law, to interpret the law, जिसको हम कहते हैं case laws. Now what is case laws? Now case laws ये आप final level पे पढ़ोगे. So क्या होता है students? Listen carefully. Act is different. It's general administration. जब वो application होता है in day-to-day life in various situations, the interpretation differs, right? I might interpret something to my benefit. You might interpret something to your benefit. Correct? So that interpretation can be contradictory. So who will pass a judgment? Everything will not go to central government. Every time you will not go to central government because they are not. They're already doing so many things. They are passing the rules. They're making amendments in the act, and then there are various acts to govern by, right? So what happens? We rely on the judgments. Judgment which come from Supreme Court, which comes from High Court, and then there are tribunal also. So obviously the supremacy is in the hands of Supreme Court. Supreme Court ने जो कह दिया, that is final. So until and unless and changes come in Act through Finance Act, अगर कुछ उसका verdict Supreme Court ने दिया है, we have to go by it. We have to go by it because already there's a legal decision on it and we should adhere it. So if suppose they have given a judgment in some matter that this particular line will be interpreted or will be meant in this particular way, so you have to mean it in this particular way. You cannot say it कि भाई कहीं तो लिखा नहीं है. No, legal decisions are governing, right? They are not. Again, I'll not say they are an absolute governance to your path, but कोई भी Supreme Court का decision follow करेगा because it's the highest highest law finding authority. So whatever your interpretation goes, Supreme Court ka interpretation will stand valid, and you will follow that judgment. And that judgment, if it is applicable in your case, you will apply it. So to understand Income Tax Act, this is the entire things which will go around. There would be references made around of these things. So you should know the difference kya hai in sab mein. Koi doubt? So someone has pointed out very rightly, ma'am, why there are two numbers in 2019? So यहाँ पे इन्होंने 2019 में, ma'am, why there are two numbers? So if you related, 2019 was the year when elections, central government elections happens, right? Finance Act, एक 2019 February में पास हुआ and 8 2019 July में पास हुआ once the government was again formed. It was an interim finance bill which happened in February. The main finance bill came in July. Circulars and notifications में क्या difference है? So circulars are like clarifications which are given by the department, which is CPDT. Central government does not issue your circulars. Who issues the circular? The department issues the circular. Okay. Then notifications can be issued by the central government or can be issued by the CPDT, but they are empowered to give the notification through the act. वहाँ पे लिखा होगा that central government or the board, CBDT को board भी refer करते हैं, have a right to make the notification on it. The notification is notifying something that this thing would be applicable to so and so person, or this thing would not be applicable to so and so person or applicable to so and so income. Notifications are more solid. You cannot say that I will not rely to notification, but circulars are just clarification. So you can, as an assessee, you can say that I do not want to adhere to this circular. It's just a clarification. So it is not benefiting me. I will not follow it. But yeah, department and department persons have to follow it. Okay. No, Farah, this subject is very interesting. A basic concept ऐसा है कि just making you understand, making you familiar with the topic. Maza will come from residential status. In fact, इसका second class, where we'll be taking tax rates. In fact, if you can start it today also, you will find it interesting. But first, you should know the framework now. You should know what all things are in place. कहीं पे income tax rules लिखा हुआ है. And you should know, okay, what is rule? Why are they calling it rules? Ma'am, act नहीं लिखना था. Where should I mention act? Where should I mention rules? Where should I mention circular? Where should I mention the judgment? All of those things, right? What is the difference between Finance Act? Now you can tell, now you will know, and you'll see the budget speech which will be coming in another 4 months. And you will see, कि ma'am, oh, this is budget which is happening. इससे अब क्या होगा? Finance bill आया, finance bill से Finance Act आएगा, Finance Act से it will impact my Income Tax Act, उसमें changes आएंगे. That's why remember, आप लोगों के लिए every year the syllabus gets changed. It is because of the Finance Act only. Income Tax Act is your syllabus, but because of the Finance Act, which are the changes which are incorporated every year, the course change. Because the act changed, that's why the course changes. So for you, Finance Act 2022, what all changes they brought in would be applicable to you. So can I say Income Tax Act as amended by Finance Act 2022 is applicable to you? Rishita, Abhi, we have just started. So you can assume that income tax would be somewhere completed by December mid. If I'm not making it in a rush, yeah, December mid or December, yeah. Because there would be holidays next week, so yeah. So schedule is also student a part of the act only. It tells about certain list, certain, it's like an, you can say an appendix which gives us certain information. So general income tax is only amended by Finance Act or the ordinance which come in. Otherwise, there would be circulars or notifications, just because there would be difference. सर्कुलर के थ्रू स्तुति आप अमेंडमेंट नहीं ला सकते. सर्कुलर इज जस्ट फॉर क्लैरिफिकेशन. सपोज यहाँ पे इफ आई एक पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन में लिखा है दैट दिस सेक्शन में टीसीएस ऑन सेल ऑफ मोटर व्हीकल्स में आएगा. But what is motor vehicles? What all would be covered in motor vehicles? So that would come, that clarifications to understand or to make the people understand the law would come through circulars. And notifications are like that this section might not be applicable to certain people, and that would be notified by central government. Central government will think कि इस section का benefit किसको देना है या नहीं देना. Central government will think to whom the benefit of this section has to be given or not. So that will come through notification. When you are notifying something, when you are intimating something that this is now applicable to this section, that is notification. Okay, so just like Vaishnavi correctly pointed out, it's written on the cover page, ma'am, as amended by Finance Act 2022. So that is the purpose. See, again, you started relating it because now you started understanding it. For any act in itself is vast. Income Tax Act is extremely vast because it's so many sections. But you pick any act, they are vast. Okay, so तभी तो income tax altogether एक subject है. Companies Act is so vast. There are so many sections there also. Yeah, removing any section can also be an amendment, but वो कहाँ से आएगा? Finance Act के through. Stuti, yes, you can say when there's certain conflict or certain doubts, then stakeholders write it to department कि इसमें क्या होना चाहिए? Are we understanding it rightly or not? So when they write it to department, the department sit and see that whether the notification or a circular is required on it. So they give a clarification through circulars. Irshad, what is new scheme you're referring to? What do you want to understand by that? Vaishnavi, now I'm coming to that only. Okay, so now let's students now move it to the next topic. Okay, अभी समझ आया? Good. So now we'll skip speech make part, we'll come to it. First, I'm coming to the important definitions which are given to you on page 60. Terms defined in the Act, term not defined under the Act. सबसे पहले तो I was telling you that it is for any particular Act. Important definitions are given under section 2. Now section 2 में there's not just 1, 2, 3 definitions, there's n number of definitions which are given, which are applicable to entire Act. एक particular Act के लिए. But if you will study sections may be sometimes for that particular section a definition is given. But that definition would be applicable only to the provisions of that particular section. So section 2 would cover the definitions which are applicable to entire Act. But Act में there are certain sections जहाँ में there can be certain definition which is applicable only to that particular section. ठीक है? उसके अलावा भी there can be simple terms, there can be certain terms which are not in Act also or not in your any section also. So उस केस में क्या करोगे? What will you do in those cases? In that cases, either you will refer to dictionaries or you will refer to General Clauses Act, or if it is that subject matter, then you can refer to other particular acts also. So and so act में ये definition है, so maybe this can also be interpreted in the same manner to the Income Tax Act. So students should note this point carefully because certain items like dividend transfer have been given a wider meaning in Income Tax Act 1961 than they are commonly understood. Some of the important terms, not this, sorry. So like there is a definition like as simple as what all definition is not coded in income tax. Let me tell you. Human property is there. So like property definition, you will see उसका definition हर एक section में उसकी interpretation के लिए दिया हुआ है. Like relative का definition एक general definition नहीं है, हर एक particular section में दिया. तो जिस section में जो relative का definition is given, that definition you will apply. So if relative का definition is given in section 80B, that relative definition I will apply. If relative definition is given in the section 56, that definition I will apply only for section 56 and not for the entire Act. And some definition which might not be there anywhere in the Act, which that you can refer to the dictionary meaning. Okay. Now, again, entire chapters may you will cover so many definitions because we cannot assume ki income is this, professional income is this, business income means this. No. House property means this. No. Everything would be given in Act. हमें अपना समझदारी नहीं लगाना. What all is in the Act, we have to apply it to that aspect only. If there in the definition there are 5 items, we have to keep our understanding to those 5 items. We should not add a 6th item automatically. So put your understanding and interpretations only to the items which are listed there. So one thing first, you will be using a term, few terms a lot, and that terms are now being defined in your basic concept chapter. So there are namely, one is assessee. Who is an assessee? Who is a person? What is the previous year? What is an assessment year? ये ऐसे terms हैं which will go throughout your life. ठीक है? Then your और कौन सा है definition में? Previous year assessment year, assessment income. Yeah. All these definitions are covered under अभी ये वाला chapter. उसके बाद as in you will see the chapters, वहाँ पे you will see other definitions. So section 2 define the definition. सबसे पहले we not do the SSC का definitions. इसमें एक word आ रहा है person. सबसे पहले we'll understand what is a person. Section 2. Clause 31, not subsection 31, because each provision is an independent clause. Okay, so section 2 clause 31 define person. So how will I see the person ki definition kaise mention hai? I will go in section 2. I will read. You should know how to refer to the Bare Act from the very starting stage. Okay, I will go to section 2. I will go to clause. These are clauses hai, okay. So I will go to clause 31. Few are the very big clauses. I'll go. And here I reach to section 31. Sorry, clause 31. So this is my entire definition of person. Person के लिए अगर अभी income tax से पहले person के लिए हम समझते थे me, you, persons who are walking, right? In human are person for us, right? But income tax के लिए person is different. Income tax के लिए the term person is different. So now wherever they refer to the term person, they are not talking about humans only. They refer to सबसे पहले number 1 individual. Who is individual? Like you and me, people, human being, natural persons are individual. He, she, it are individuals. So male, female, transgenders, everyone are included in individual category. Okay, we are a single person. So for the Income Tax Act, we are individuals. Okay. Then there is HUF. Now what is HUF? It is another taxable entity. Now HUF क्या होता है? These are all taxable entities for the income tax. What is HUF? Hindu Undivided Family. Hindu Undivided Family. अब हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली, अब वन सच डेफिनेशन हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली का कहीं नहीं दिया हुआ, बट येस यू विल रेफर टू हिंदू लॉ टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज हिंदू अनडिवाइडेड फैमिली. सो वहां पे इट्स रिटन. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज एक एंसेस्ट्रल lineage is going on and on and on, that becomes part of an HUF. So generally क्या होता था, पहले एक property होता था. What used to happen earlier, there was a property which is governed by a family. So उससे कुछ income आता था. So what they used to do, they used to divide it among themselves. Hindu laws के according क्या होता है, there is an importance of word खानदान. So grandparents, then parents, then son, and all of these things. So Hindu law में you become the member of an HUF family, or sorry, of an HUF by your birth. By your birth, you become the member of the HUF. So HUF is a taxable entity as a person for the income tax. As an independent entity, HUF is taxable. But what is HUF being taxable? HUF is a family which is based on a property which is actually governed by the family members. तो वहां पे एक कॉन्सेप्ट आता है कर्ता who is the head of the family, and then there are co-partners and members. So ultimately you are all the members of the family. So HUF is basically an Hindu undivided family, which is going on and on. It's a separate taxable entity in the eyes of law. It's a separate taxable person in the eyes of law. How? Because it's actually a family ka business or family ka income which is getting taxed. Though family is formed by individuals, but it is a separate taxable entity for the law. So HUF, whatever income will happen, it would be taxable in the hands of HUF. It will be taxable in the hands of HUF. But what is actually HUF? HUF is it's basically a thing which is going on and on because they have a certain property, and उस property के base पे वो एक particular चीज जाती रहती है. So that's why it goes on and on from one generation to another. So that's why it's an Hindu undivided family which is going on and on. The head of the family is called the Karta. Who are the co-partners? Co-partners can be son and now daughters also, who by birth become the member of the family, and the daughter-in-laws, which is son's wife or the wife of the member, also becomes the member of the family. Okay, so HUF is a separate person. Similarly, company. Company is also a separate person because company is born under the Companies Act. It takes birth under the Companies Act, now 2013, earlier 1956. So वो वहाँ पे born होती है. Company, as you know, it's an artificial person, but it is actually formed by the shareholders by putting in certain capital, right? So shareholder को तो company नहीं कहते ना. Company is a separate legal entity which is born by incorporating under the Companies Act, right? It has shareholders who are the ultimate owners, but they are separate people. Company is separate, shareholders are separate. Company will run the business in the company's name. Similarly, shareholders they can be individual, they can be any other members also. So company is separate, shareholders are separate. So there is a line of taxable entity. So company would also be taxed as individual, would be taxed as an independent entity because it's a person in the eyes of tax law. Similarly, firm. What is a firm? By firm we mean partnership firm, including LLP. So partnership firm is when two or more persons come together to run a business with a going concern concept in mind. It's not a small venture to run a business having defined their profit sharing ratio, capital contribution responsibilities. That is called a partnership, right? It's governed by Partnership Act. So Partnership Act ke through a firm is being registered, that once registered is a separate entity in the eyes of law. So partners are different, but firm is different. Partners can be anyone. An individual can be a partner in a firm, a company can be a partner in a firm, an HUF can be a partner in a firm. But firm is different, partners are different. So another separate tax entity is firm. Clear? So एक is individual. Individual can be a shareholder of a company, but uska identity is individual as a taxable person, and company is a separate taxable person. Individual can be a member of HUF, but HUF is a separate taxable person, and individual, even he's a member of HUF, but he's a separate taxable person. Individual can be a partner in a firm, but individual is a separate taxable person. He will be taxed as the status of partner also, but that is not important. What is important is firm is a separate taxable person, individual is a separate taxable person. The partners are separate taxable person, firm is a separate taxable person. Partnership Act आपको ये कहता है कि partners are severally jointly liable for all the liabilities. That is good, but they are separate taxable person. Partners will show their income, firm will show their income. Company will show its income, the shareholders will show its income. HUF will show its income, the members will show their income. So they are all separate identity. Then there is AOP and BOI. AOP, association of persons. BOI, body of individual. Association of person, body of individual, दोनों का एक ही चीज है. When people come together, but they are not defined by any partnership act or any particular act. They just came together and they are running a business or they're sharing a particular income, but they're not governed by either HUF or they're not a company, but they're not a firm, but they're just coming together and doing a business or like a joint venture. So they are referred as association of persons or body of individual. See, HUF के लिए आप you are governed by Hindu law also. Company के लिए you are incorporated. You come into place only when you are incorporated in the Companies Act 2013, or you are incorporated under a foreign company ka law. Firm comes into picture when you are registered as a partnership firm. But AOP BOIs are not specifically incorporated or specifically governed by any law. So when they see any two people or more sharing any income with not having certain shares, with not having defined shares, with not being governed by any act, with not being registered under any act, they become association of persons. And body of individual is also same, but फर्क क्या है in its name itself. यहाँ पे association of person can be of any person. It can be of individual, HUF, company, firm, altogether. It's a person. Person can be anyone. But body of individuals means only the individuals are coming. So Mr. A, Mr. B, and Mr. C coming together, not forming a partnership deed and still working together is a body of individual. So body of individual would be taxed separately, and Mr. A, B, and C would be taxed separately. Body of individuals there would be members, and body of individual would be separate tax entity. Similarly, AOP, BOI में association of persons, suppose company A, Mr. C, and partnership firm XYZ are coming together and doing some business and not registered as a firm. They are called association of persons because here there are separate persons coming together. They are member of the AOP, and whatever business they are running into would be taxed as under association of person. Clear? And then there comes local authorities. Now, local authorities are like your municipal cantonments, board, municipal bodies. Those who are not companies, firms, or anything, but yes, they are other legal entities. They become your local authorities. MCD, Mumbai may you have what you have, bring the Mumbai BMC, right? So all of those becomes your local authority. District court, all of these are local authorities. And the last is artificial juridical persons. Now, this is like a residual category. They are not actually person who are not covered under this category. If they're not covered under this category, this would be covered in this category, that they are legal person and hence they would be taxed. So ultimately, income tax ने एक तरीके से सबको cover कर लिया. They are covering individuals, they are covering individuals, HUF, they are covering partnership firms, they are covering LLP, companies, AOP, BOIs, local authorities, and anyone which is left, like who would not be covered in any of this category would be covered in this category. Like my bar councils, my universities, my all of these things are artificial judicial person. Courts, those all of things will come here. So now to sum up the definition, income tax में सबसे पहले मुझे income tax में किसी को cover करना है, so I will include them in the definition of person. The person can be anyone. They can be natural people who are walking around, human beings. They would be called individual. Others are all non-naturals, but their members or their partners or their person who are actually running them can be individuals. It doesn't matter. But they are separate tax entities. HUF, separate tax entities because it's a separate person. Company, separate tax entity because it's a separate person. Firm, separate tax entity because it's a separate person. AOP, separate tax entity because it's a separate person. Local authority, separate tax entity because it's a separate person. And artificial juridical person, separate tax entity because it's a separate person. All of them, unka khud ka income would be taxed in their hands. These, like firms has partners, companies have shareholders, HU have members, AOP, BOI also have members because obviously they are non-human beings, non-natural persons. So they would be run by some individual. They would be run by certain representatives, but that is immaterial. But they in themselves are called person. So students, Dayabag and Nishkars, these are all very genuine information. After today's class, I'll give you an homework. Read it. If it does not get clear to you, I will give you a briefing about it. Okay? Yes, I'm taking the break. Don't worry. See, artificial juridical person is any legal person who is not covered under any of the categories. Okay, company is altogether a separate entity which is identified and bond in the Companies Act. So co-partners are person who by the virtue of their birth becomes a member of the HUF, and otherwise members can also include those persons who are not co-partners but who are brought in the family, like your daughter-in-law or the wife of the co-partner. Later, just wait for few classes to go. You will understand what is happening between the partnership firm or partners. Ayush, I'm here to take all your doubts. Example of local authorities, Mumbai, Delhi mein we have MCD, Municipal Corporation of Delhi. Any of the boards which are being working on the development, these are called local authorities. Mariam, yes, it is mandated to write the sections, but only if you remember it. If you don't remember it, do not write it. At inter-level, we want you to remember certain sections, a handful of 30-40 sections, which you should know. Uske alawa, it is okay. Dheere dheere, as see, section is something which comes into remembrance only with practice. Okay, so there are certain sections we'll tell you in chapter wise that you should remember those sections, this is a reference, but otherwise don't worry. Okay. See, association of person and body of individual क्या है? I'll speak it in Hindi because it's been requested. जब partnership form क्या होता है? When people are coming together to run a business, right? But they get registered under the partnership deed. They have a partnership deed, they get registered through Partnership Act का provisions are applicable to them. But अगर मैं Partnership Act में registered नहीं हो रही or I'm not forming myself as a legal entity into a partnership firm, but I'm still, three people are still coming together running a business like joint ventures. So how will the government tax in it? तो उसके लिए they came up with the term association of person. ठीक है, उनके लिए they came up with the term called association of person, ताकि उनको कहीं पे तो टैक्स करेंगे. तो वो एसोसिएशन ऑफ पर्सन होगा अगर वो पर्सन्स में अलग अलग कैटेगरी ऑफ पर्सन्स है, इंडिविजुअल भी है, फर्म भी है, कंपनी भी है, दैट इज एसोसिएशन ऑफ पर्सन. बट अगर सिर्फ इंडिविजुअल्स है, सो दैट बिकम्स बॉडी ऑफ इंडिविजुअल. दोनों का काम एक ही है, मतलब एक ही है, बट द डिफरेंस only comes in terminology. When only individuals are coming together, like Mr. ABC coming together, body of individuals. When different types of persons are coming together, AOP. ठीक है अमित? कौन से एजीपी में आएंगे? यूनिवर्सिटीज, कोर्ट्स, ये सब एजीपी में आएंगे, बिकॉज वो किसी और कैटेगरी में नहीं आ रहे ना. ठीक है, so with this we'll take a break, and before we go to break, if you have any of you have PAN cards or any of you have PAN numbers of your parents, वहां पे फोर्थ कैरेक्टर देखोगे, अगर आप पैन नंबर का फोर्थ कैरेक्टर, आई एम सेइंग इंडिविजुअल के केस में इट विल ऑलवेज बी पी, एचयूएफ के केस में इट वुड बी एच, कंपनी के केस में इट वुड बी सी, कंपनी का पैन देखोगे, फर्म का पैन देखोगे तो इट वुड बी एफ. So if you will go and see the PAN numbers of any of these category of person, you will see the PAN numbers tell what category of person it is. Individual में P होगा, HF में H होगा, कंपनी में C होगा, फर्म में F होगा. और फिफ्थ कैरेक्टर होगा सरनेम का फर्स्ट इनिशियल, सरनेम का फर्स्ट इनिशियल. So see, this is like a general trivia before I go on break. We'll connect on 8:30 sharp. See you after the break. Thank you. So break. So welcome back after the break, everyone. So we were discussing the definition of the term persons. I'll give you the update also. Everything, Yashwant, all of these things, I'll take it slowly. Just give some time to it. Yeah. So now the category of person, when it is clear. So someone asked me, ma'am, which alphabet we have to see? Fourth alphabet would tell you about the status of the person, like whether that person is individual, firm, company, HUF, all of that would be cleared in your PAN number. Say you will see why income tax define them as a separate person, because they are separate category of taxable entities for the purpose of income tax. Just 1 second, I'll share the screen. Yeah. A lot of mess here now. Yeah. So the definition of person, if it is clear, we'll move to our next definition, which is assessee. Now, assessee क्या होता है? ASSEE ये definition याद कर लो, ये word याद कर लो. This is under section 2 clause 31. This is under section 2 clause 7. So assessee means a person by whom any tax or any other sum of money is payable under this act. मतलब any person who is liable to pay tax or is liable to pay any sum of money under the Income Tax Act is assessee. So assessee समझने के लिए what was important to understand was person, which we understood. So assessee means a person by whom any tax or any other sum of money is payable under the act. If I have no income, I'm a person in the eyes of the Income Tax Act, but I'm not the assessee. When will I become an assessee? When I have an income and a tax to pay on it. Okay, so when I have no income, I'm a person in the eyes of law. But when I become a taxable person, I become an assessee. Basically, when I have to pay tax on it, I become assessee. Okay, but इसके साथ साथ it includes person on whom any proceedings are going on. Proceedings under this act has been taken for the assessment. कोई proceedings चल रहा है Income Tax Act में उसके ऊपर, so that would also be an assessee. And it will also include deemed assessees or assessee in default. अभी के लिए इतना समझना जरूरी है, simple at your stage. अभी when you are just taking the first step towards income tax, then any person who is liable to pay tax is or assessee. It also includes deemed assessee. Matlab, even if he's not an assessee, still he'll be deemed to be assessee. It will also include assessee in default. Matlab, any assessee who has done a default would also be a assessee. Or it will also include an assessee on whose any proceedings are going on. Proceedings under the Income Tax Act. Proceedings से मतलब समझते हो? Case चल रहा है उसका. ठीक है? Then there is a word called assessment. Now assessment क्या है? Section 2 clause 8. Section 2 clause 8, don't call it subsection, मुझे बहुत बुरा लगेगा. So section 2 clause 8 में लिखा है what is assessment. So assessment is a procedure by way you determine the income of a person. Assessment is a procedure by way the income of the assessee is determined. Now, who will determine it? The department. Department कैसे होता है? I'll give you just a brief about it. Remember I told you Ministry of Finance में Revenue Department है, Revenue Department में CBDT है. CBDT is a board. Wherever the term board is used, they mean CBDT. CBDT is the main head when I talk about direct tax. Then they have Principal Chief Commissioner of Income Tax or Principal Director General of Income Tax. They have Chief Commissioner of Income Tax. These are all area-wise. They have Principal CIT, which is Principal Commissioner of Income Tax. They have Commissioners of Income Tax. Then they have additional income tax officer, or they have your deputy income tax officer, or they have your joint commissioners, additional commissioner, deputy commissioner, joint commissioners. They have their assessing officers. So all of these are called your assessing officer. Basically जो भी हम लोगों के साथ डील करते हैं वो ये होते हैं, इंस्पेक्टर्स, एओ, joint commissioner, deputy commissioner, all of these, sorry, additional commissioner. So first is additional, then there's deputy, and then there's joint. Okay. If the hierarchy goes, they are called assessing officers. This you will see in your final level, but I'm giving you an information. Why? Because you should know who will conduct the assessment. Department does not conduct the assessment. Everything is governed by them or by the super senior bosses. But assessing officer conducts assessment. Assessment means they will determine my income. They will determine my income. So the word assessment is determination of income of an assessee. Okay. So, but you should always remember this definition. I'm telling you, this is everything to understand. The basic. Then we come to the term income. Now, income is actually defined under the Income Tax Act under clause 24 of section 2. What actually is income? Now, income is such a vast thing, but there's a whole list. There's a whole list of somewhere around 23 items. You will see there's somewhere around 23 items. Only these items, or only income when it is included in these items, would be taxable, would be covered under the scope of income tax. Otherwise, that part would not be taxable. And let me mind you, students, everything comes under the Income Tax Act. So, but if you will go through the list, or if I'll make you read the list of these 23 items, you may relate to some, but you may not relate to many, because again, it's a procedure one by one. Today we are at only day 1. Okay. So you might not relate to the entire list. You might ask, ma'am, what is this written? What is superannuation fund written? What is provident fund written? What is deemed profit under section 41 or 59? What is capital gains? That would only be understood when the process, when you will do it one by one, the chapters. What is the meaning of perquisite? All of these things would be covered, but one by one. So for now, you should only know that there is a list of list which covers the definition of income. It's an inclusive list, and only those income would be covered here. Clear? So this definition is in a whole covers almost a lot of things, but still the scope is left. But now, what most important thing which I want you to discuss is in income. I'm not talking about everything. You can go through the list. If you understand, fine. If you don't understand, do not worry. Everything would be covered. About certain terms. इसको भी देखने से पहले इनकम टैक्स का बेसिक क्लास है. Tell me the difference between turnover and profit. यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, so do not see here. Tell me about the definition of the term turnover and profit. Who would like to give an attempt on it? What is a turnover and what is a profit? Good, Nagam. Good attempt. तो इनकम टैक्स में ना हमेशा आपका इनकम टैक्स होता है, मतलब इनकम टैक्स होता है इन द सेंस मींस ओनली योर इनकम गेट्स टैक्स. Now, what do you mean by that? Income, when I talk about income, is always net of expenditures or net of certain rules or what is defined as income. So when I say turnover, turnovers are generally sales which you're making during the year, but your sales would never be your profit. Profit is always sales minus expenditure, obviously sales minus purchase minus direct expenses minus indirect expenses, then only you will come to the profit. So never interchangeably use the term profit and turnover. ठीक है? Profit is actually my income. मेरे को असली में कमाई क्या हुई जो मेरे को profit हो, जो मुझे profit हो, right? So यहाँ पे now when I relate to this, income means net receipts and not gross receipts. Net receipts are derived after deducting the expenditure incurred in connection with earning such receipts. The expenditure which can be deducted while computing the income is prescribed under each head of the income. Income from certain eligible business is determined on presumptive basis, which you will see. ठीक है? तो इनकम टैक्स में टैक्स क्या होता है? इनकम. कभी टर्नओवर टैक्स नहीं होती, बट उसको समझने के लिए यू शुड नो दैट देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टर्म टर्नओवर एंड प्रॉफिट. नाउ रेवेन्यू रिसीट एंड कैपिटल रिसीट. व्हाट इज रेवेन्यू रिसीट एंड कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर? रेवेन्यू रिसीट एंड कैपिटल रिसीट में फर्क क्या है? So revenue receipt is something which is your normal income, which you are regularly earning. Capital receipt is when you are getting any income from a capital asset, right? So in general, capital receipt is not included anywhere, but yeah, the profit from the sales of capital asset is included. So that is included in capital gains. Abhi I'll come to it. What is that? We'll come to it. So again, capital receipts are not taxable under the Income Tax Act in general, but the gains are taxed under the capital gain head. Then एक concept आता है regular receipt and casual receipt का. What is regular receipt and casual receipt? Regular income means something which I'm earning on a regular basis. So if I'm teaching, whatever I'm earning from teaching, it's a regular income. If I'm going to my office, whatever I'm earning at the salary is a regular income. But what is casual income? Casual income is not an income which happens daily, but happens once in a time, like lottery, crossword puzzles. I went to KBC, I earned there. That are casual receipt. So the nature of regularity of income does not restrict the scope of taxability. Both of the incomes would be taxable. The regular income would also be taxable, and the once in a time wala income would also be taxable. So if I need to sum up my discussion of these different types of categories of income, first I told you that only the income part gets taxable, not the turnover part. So by saying that, I tell you that net receipts are taxable, not gross receipts. Revenue receipts are taxable, but capital receipts are not entirely taxable. Only the gains from that receipts are taxable. The profit from that is taxable. Both regular and non-regular incomes are taxed. If they are income, they would always be taxed, irrespective of the periodically receiving of them. It will always be taxed. Next is due versus receipt basis. Whether I have to tax it on due basis or whether I have to tax it on receipt basis. First of all, you can tax it on any of the bases. Any of the base you want. You want to tax it on due base, you tax it on due base. You want to tax on receipt base, you tax it on receipt base. But PGBP, you will see your business income or your other sources income. I'll tell you what is this. Will only be taxed when basis the method you're following. If you're following mercantile method, you will tax it on mercantile method. If you're following your cash method, you will tax it on cash method. But some receipts are taxed only on cash basis, like interest, dividend received. All of these are only tags on cash basis. ठीक है, उसके बाद we come to the another thing which all of you are waiting for. मैम assessment your previous year बता दो, बहुत मुश्किल है ये समझना. No worries, thank you. अब आपने समझ लिया पर्सन क्या होता है, आपने समझ लिया असेसी क्या होता है. प्लीज ये टू थिंग्स आर मोर देन इनफ, पर्सन्स एंड असेसी. ठीक है. नाउ देयर इज अ टर्म कॉल्ड फाइनेंशियल ईयर और फिस्कल ईयर. अभी तक हमने, अगर मैं ये वर्ड्स आप में से किसी ने नहीं सुना, if you have not heard of these words, what we have heard is of the term called financial year or fiscal year. Every country has its own financial year, but it is followed by everyone for that country. It's not different, right? So India may the financial year runs from April to March of the next year. Many countries have calendar year as the financial year. Many countries have separate years. Some has, I think, July to June, September to August. ऐसे separate financial year, and it's different for each country. These are also called fiscal year. ठीक है. बट इनकम टैक्स के लिए दो ऐसे टर्म्स हैं which are exclusive to income tax. You will not see them used anywhere. You will not see them used in Companies Act or anywhere else. But these are inclusive income tax terms. One is previous year, another is assessment year. Ma'am, what is previous year and assessment year? Now, ध्यान से students listen to me. Previous year is the year in which you earn the income. The year in which I earn the income, it's the financial year in which I earn the income. So for what previous year going on? Previous year 22-23. So in the previous year 22-23 is the year in which I'm earning the income. So any income earned between 22-23 would be my previous year 22-23 ka income. Okay. Now I have to give tax on this income. I have to give tax on this income. This income has to be assessed. This income assessed means has to be determined, computed. Correct कि मेरा पूरा साल का income कितना है, but that cannot be done during the year itself, right? It can be estimated though, but that actual picture would only come once the year is completed, right? Once the entire year is completed. So whatever you have earned in the previous year gets taxed in the immediately preceding financial year. So previous year 22-23 means April 22 से लेके 31st March 2023 तक. ठीक है, this is previous year. But this income will only be taxed or assessed. Assessed means determined once the year is completed, and that would be assessed in the year which is immediately following this previous year, which is assessment year 23-24. So when I refer to the term assessment year, I refer to the year in which the income of the previous year is assessed. So when I say that I am talking about assessment year 23-24, I am referring to the income of the previous year 22-23. So, but when I say I am referring for the assessment year 22-23, I am referring to the previous year income of 21-22. When I say I'm referring to the assessment year 2018-19, I'm referring to the previous year 17-18. So the assessment year, may I assess the income of the immediately closed year, which is called the previous year. For every previous year, there is an assessment year. For every previous year, there is an assessment year. For every previous year, there is an assessment year. Whatever you earn in the previous year is assessed in the assessment year. whatever you earn in the previous year is assessed or is taxable in the assessment year. So अभी previous year 20 to 23 चल रहा है, that is right, which is applicable to you. अभी काफी देर से some people were asking, ma'am, which assessment year would applicable to you for your course. The year applicable is 23-24. That means the previous year 20 to 23, what all provisions are there, those would be applicable. ठीक है. सो अभी प्रीवियस ईयर 20 to 23 इज गोइंग ऑन. इसका असेसमेंट ईयर ड्यू कब से हुआ? 23-24 से. दैट्स व्हाई स्टूडेंट्स यू earn it during this year, but you file the return during this period. So abhi jo return file hua latestly on 31st July, if I talk about, that was not for assessment year 23-24 because abhi to previous year is going on. That was for assessment year 22-23, which means previous year 21-22. So if someone is referring to this, that means they are referring to this. If someone is referring to this, that means they are referring to this. So previous year mein you earn the income, assessment year mein you tax that income. Previous year mein you earn the income, assessment year mein you tax that income. Is it clear? किसी को कोई डाउट है? You can take it, read it from book once. So assessment year applicable for your exam is assessment year 23-24. I am talking about May 23 students and November 23 students. Farah, you cannot say assessment year is the current year. No. Ongoing financial year is the previous year in a way, but never chooses it interchangeably. ठीक है. इस year में whatever I'll be earning would be assessed in the assessment year, would be assessment year 23-24. So if someone asks you what is your income for assessment year 23-24, you're actually telling your facts for the previous year 22-23. Correct, Mariam? Turnover means sales. Profit means sales minus cost minus expenditures also. Very good, Farah. Okay, Satya, I'll definitely do it. Thank you, Anamika. Very good. What I'm liking about this batch is the people participate. अब एक बार हम डेफिनेशन पढ़ें. First, I explained it. Section 2, clause 8 इसलिए because when you will go and refer see section 2, वहाँ पे हर provision independent है. हर जो division है वो independent है. When it is independent and not related to one another, they form individual clauses. ठीक है. So जैसे section 2 में you will see that section 2 में हर एक provision किसी से related नहीं है, they become clauses. But when you go to section 35, for example, you will see you have to read subsection 1 to understand subsection 1A and so on. So that's why there are sections or subsections and not clauses in that case. So Mohammad Aslam has asked a very valid question. Can I write definition in our own words? You can write simply meaning or in easy language in the sense to simplify for the teacher, but definitions are always exact word to word. I'm coming to it. ठीक है, अब एक बार इसका पढ़ते हैं. Assessment year means what is defined under section 2 clause 9. This means a period of 12 months commencing from the 1st April every year. The year in which income is earned is the previous year, and such income is taxable in the immediately following year, which is the assessment year. Income earned in the previous year 22-23 is taxable in the assessment year 23-24. Assessment year always starts from 1st April and it is always a period of 12 months. Now, what is previous year then? Previous year is defined under section 3. Now, this is one such definition which is not in section 2. It is defined in an individual section, section 3. It means the financial year immediately preceding the assessment year. अब आप बोलोगे मैम assessment year में लिखा है year immediately following the previous year, और previous year के definition में लिखा है year immediately following the assessment year, immediately preceding the assessment year. So isn't it confusing? It's simple. The income earned during the previous year is taxable in the assessment year. So previous year is basically the financial year in which you earn the income. But suppose you have started, so it will also be always April to March. But suppose you have started your business for the tax purpose in August only. Okay, so then in that case, when you're starting your business for the first time, the previous year is August 22 to March 23. Okay, yes, the assessment year would be pura assessment year 23-24, but the previous year would be from August 22. You can see it here. Clear? So someone is asking me what is HUF. So HUF, student, I'll explain it in a simple manner. Let me just come to the definition for you. ये वाला चीज types of company I'll explain अभी, but पहले let's Hindu undivided family. Now, Hindu undivided family, हम सबको पता है, it's a separate person under the income tax eyes. Under the eyes of income tax, Hindu undivided family is a separate person. But actually, Hindu undivided family होता क्या है? What is actually Hindu undivided family? Now, before understanding that, you understood that company is formed under the Companies Act. If I ask you what is company, so you will say it's an entity which is governed by the Companies Act 2013, where shareholders put in certain capitals to run a particular business, right? And they get the return as per their equity holding. ठीक है, equity मतलब capital, they are putting, debt मतलब loan, and they are running a business like company. If I ask you what is partnership firm, you will tell me that where two or more persons come together with a specified motive of running a business, having defined shares, they form a firm, they get themselves registered, that is a partnership firm. But when I talk about HUF, HUF is something, it's an entity which is not added, which is even a person in my section income tax, section 2 clause 13 income tax, but it is actually a birth of Hindu law. हिंदू लॉज में क्या होता था? हिंदू लॉज में परंपरा, प्रतिष्ठा, अनुशासन, दैट मीन्स देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ वैल्यू टू द फैमिली कल्चर इन हिंदूज, राइट? सो हिंदू लॉ के अकॉर्डिंग दे फॉर्म्ड अ टर्म कॉल्ड HUF, जहां पे एवरी पर्सन बिकम्स द पार्ट, या Every person was born, पहले क्या होता था, the son who was born in the family becomes the part of the HUF, like a HUF, वो एक फैमिली का पार्ट बनता था. वो खुद की आइडेंटिटी तो है, ही हैज एन ओन आइडेंटिटी एज अ सन, बट देयर वाज एन HUF गोइंग ऑन जिसका वो ऑटोमेटिकली पार्ट बनता था. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय HUF? सो देयर वाज अ प्रॉपर्टी, मतलब जब भी प्रॉपर्टी का पार्टीशन होगा तो सन का उसमें इक्वल राइट होगा इन दैट प्रॉपर्टी के पार्टीशन में. सो जनरली उस टाइम पे देयर यूज्ड टू बी अ प्रॉपर्टी जिसका मेंबर सन बाय द बर्थ यूज्ड टू बिकम. बट 2006 में दिस हिंदू लॉ was changed and they said that be it son or be it daughter, both will have an equal right to the property of the family. Both will have an equal right to the property of the family. वो property किसी एक person के नाम पे नहीं है, वो पूरा family property है, ancestral property है. तो इसलिए they kept on running the business for that property. That's why the term HUF came into picture. ठीक है. So now the property is not of any individual person or any individual member. The property is of HUF. So उस HUF का property से टैक्स लेने के लिए, उस प्रॉपर्टी से जो टैक्स हो रहे हैं, उसको कोई बिजनेस करके जो टैक्स हो रहा है उस पे टैक्स लेने के लिए HUF was included as person in the income tax act. Okay, but every family has an head. Similarly, HUF has an head who is called Karta. Other persons who are included are called co-partners. Those are included by birth are co-partners. Those who are included after the marriage, like daughter-in-law or the wife of the Karta, they are members. Okay. Now, is it clear? जिसको HUF में डाउट हो रहा था, is it clear now? Yes, so the assessment year would always be from 1st April to 31st March, full 12-month period. Previous year, matlab, the previous year which I'm talking about, it can be any previous year. Preceding previous year means previous year से पहले. Preceding term is therefore to उससे पहले का term. प्रणय March 23 मतलब March 2023, not 31st. It's 31st March 2023. Okay. Previous year in general is a financial year which is going on. Abhi currently previous year 22-23 is going on. But suppose I start the business today. So for that business, the previous year is from 15th October to 31st March. Because उससे पहले तो वो live ही नहीं था ना, वो तो था ही नहीं, इसलिए. Yes, minor can be a member of HUF. Minor can be an individual also. Person of unsound mind can also be individual, but then they have guardian to take care of them. पढ़ोगी समझ आएगा धीरे धीरे. Vaishnavi, I'll not comment on this. Sorry. So whenever you are starting the term income tax, आपको सबसे पहले क्या identify करना है? When you are starting learning the income tax, what do you have to identify first? You have to identify the person. Person है भी या नहीं? What is the category of person? Obviously, you have to identify the previous year and assessment year. The previous year and the assessment year. Now, next thing, what happens? Income tax means calculating the income and then calculating the tax, right? Calculating the income and then calculating the tax. But how do you calculate the income? इनकम में इतनी सारी चीजें, हाउ डू यू कैलकुलेट? सो इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में बिफोर कैलकुलेटिंग द इनकम, अभी पर्सन में ही आपको एक चीज आइडेंटिफाई करनी है, इज द रेजिडेंशियल स्टेटस. What is the residential status of the person? Now, why are we doing it? Now, let me tell you something. I am a person who lives in India, uses government infrastructure, earns income from India, earns income from across the world. क्या मेरा सारा income tax होगा? जो मैं बाहर से tax कर रही हूँ वो tax होगा? Whether all my income would be taxed, and to whom should I give the tax? To the US government, to the Singapore government from where I'm earning, or to the Indian government? And suppose there is another person, Mr. J, who is sitting in USA and has only one portion which is earning in India, that this is Indian income. So whether the treatment would be same for both the person, one, I am sitting here using all the facilities provided by the government and I'm liable to them more. And there's another person who is earning from India but is earning only one portion, not using any of India's assets or India facilities and all of those things. He's sitting there. Okay? So both of these people are separate. Both of these people are separate. So meaning thereby, any law when it comes to income tax, identify their individual based on the residential status. If they are more of the Indian resident, I use the term which they call as ROR, resident and ordinary resident. This is all together your chapter 2. You don't have to worry or wait much longer. This would be covered in your next class. So I was coming here. So residential status. Why? A person who is more into India, using all the facilities, infrastructure provided by India, is more liable to tax than a person who's sitting outside India and only earning a portion of the income from India. So that's why it is important to categorize the person based on their residential status, how much you stay in India, how much you stay in India, how much of the economic interest you have in India. Based on that, we categorize the residential status. So every person ka residential status you have to determine as resident or non-resident, and then sub-categorize as ROR or RNOR. You will see it. But abhi I'm telling you, I'm just giving you the steps of how you come to the calculation of income. First, you calculate person, then you calculate, obviously you should identify the previous year assessment year. You calculate the residential status of the person. Once all these things are done, you determine the income, because based on that, the residential status, the scope and the taxability is defined. मुझे कितने का income पे tax लेना, whether I have to tax their entire income, whether I have to tax only their Indian income, all of these things are dependent upon the residential status. So once this residential status is determined, the scope and taxability is clear. Now the income, whatever you are earning, me, I am earning, anyone else is earning in your family, anyone, any person is earning, is categorized into 5 heads. Heads of income. 5 heads of income है, सबके लिए same है. Salary, house property, business, profits and gain of business or profession, capital gain, and other sources. So everyone has separate categories of income. Salary, मतलब whatever you are earning from an employer-employee relationship. Okay? House property, whatever you are earning from the house which you are the owner of. Okay? As a rent. That's the gross annual value. business or profession, that I'm running any business, I'm into any profession, wahan se whatever income I'm getting. Capital gain, when I've sold some asset, what is the gain from that? And next is other sources. If anything which does not fit here would fit in the residuary head, which is called other sources. So be it you, me, all of us, all of our incomes would be categorized in these five heads only. Yes, it may differ. Income might be a business income for me, but it can be an other sources income for you, or a capital gain income for me, or a business income from you. The division can be subjective based on the regularity. Suppose, for example, and based on the nature of business. Suppose I am a person whose main business is giving loans. So the interest which I earn would be my business income. But suppose your main business is not giving loans, but you have given one loan to one of your friend and he's paying you interest. Then that interest is not your business income, because that is not your business, that is your other sources. So कहने का मतलब ये है कि the entire income of a person is divided into five heads, for you also, for me also, for company also, for partners also, for HUF also, for partnership firm also. Every person ka income is divided into these five heads only. There is no sixth head, number one. Number two, it can be deferred in the way of nature, based upon the nature of income I have. It can be separated into the different heads. That for me it can be capital gain, for you it can be business. It depends again on the regularity, but it will always be taxed under the separate heads of income. Now each head has its own computation. That आपको सैलरी इनकम कैसे निकालना है, आपको हाउस प्रॉपर्टी इनकम कैसे निकालना है, आपको प्रोफेशनल और बिजनेस इनकम कैसे निकालना है, how do you have to compute the capital gain income, how do you have to compute the other sources income. Each has its own computation. Once you compute the income under each head, you add it. Salary, house property, other business, capital gain, other sources, सबको add करोगे, you will get your total income. So after getting total income, each person is given certain deductions. Each step, student, each step is a separate chapter in your book. You don't have to worry कि मैम कैसे करेंगे, कब करेंगे. Don't worry. It's just an overview. It's just a basic concept as the chapter suggests, which I'm giving. Okay. You will sum up. You will get into total income. You will deduct the expenditure. You will come to taxable income. Some deductions are allowed under section 80C to 80U. You will see. Is total income में yours income plus any other person's income for which you are assessable, which is clubbing. जैसे minor का income minor में ना tax होगी, आप में tax होगा. That is called clubbing. So that would be included. So once you come to the taxable income, you compute the tax on it. You compute the tax on it. So this is how your entire scenario works. Yes, there are certain set of losses provisions. So मैं अभी terms क्यों introduce करूँ? Just to confuse you. ठीक है? So on this taxable income, you compute taxes, you add certain things. I'll tell you अभी right away how do you do it. But अभी तक किसी को कोई doubt? No, TDS is not deductions. You'll see. TDS is type of recovery of tax. Yes, every person would be categorized as resident or non-resident. We'll see how they are categorized, but every person is categorized. Akansha, what is your query? Example दे तो दिया HF का बेटे. If you start, so this is Kojma, this is not Mr. Kojma, this is not your Companies Act going on. Suppose you start your business in January, your previous year would be January to March. Suppose you're starting a business in January 2023, your previous year would be January 2023 to March 2023. Your assessment year would be full. Assessment year 23 to 24. Okay, so now this is clear. Uske baad, now let's come to the first thing first, which is the last thing here, the tax rates. How do you determine the tax rates and why I have been telling you about the tax rates? Next class would be completely on tax rates, calculations of tax, calculating of surcharge, calculations of few other things. So it would be completely on this. And certain exceptions of previous year income not getting taxed in the assessment year. If it is covered here, yes. So now let me tell you something about tax and why I'm initiating it, because I want you to practice thoda sa. Okay. So tax rates again depends upon the category of person, depends upon the category of the person and the residential status of the person. The category of the person and the residential status of the person. For individuals, there are separate tax rates. For companies, there are separate tax rates. For HUF, there are separate tax rate. Resident individuals के लिए separate benefits है. So tax rates को determine आप तब तक नहीं कर पाओगे till the time the category of person plus the residential status is not clear to you. So if that is not clear, you cannot come to the tax rate. In India, the tax rates for individual HUF, AOP, BOI, general category is a progressive rate. It is called slab rates. Individual HUF, AOP, BOI, इनको यूज होता है टैक्स किस पे लगता है इनकम पे. So once you come to your total income, total taxable income, उसको आप टैक्स करोगे, ठीक है? After all the deductions, after all the benefits which are given to you. I'll come to that slowly. So slab rates pay, this income is taxed. Now what is slab rates? How do you tax it? So Indian tax system is called progressive taxing system. More the tax, more the income, more the tax. Less the income, less the tax. So, but how do you calculate it? You apply the slab rates. Now, ध्यान से समझना, what are the slab rates? Abhi, before I end the today's class, I'm just initiating this. I'll take it from the scratch also, but I want you to practice. That's why I'm initiating it. Okay, now carefully listen. The income tax rates are slab rates for these categories of person. They are based on the taxable income. All the tax you will calculate only on the taxable income. How will you come to taxable income? That we saw the process. Okay. So once the taxable income is clear, you apply the slab rates. Now what are the slab rates? Please listen carefully. So 0 to 2,50,000 pay, there is no tax. 2,50,000, 1 rupee से लेके 5 lakh तक you have to pay tax at the rate of 5%. 5 lakh, 1 rupee से लेके 10 lakh तक you have to pay the tax at the rate of 20%. 10 lakh plus, मतलब 10 lakh 1 से लेके and above, you have to pay the tax at the rate of 30%. Now, if I have an income of 14 lakhs, if I have a net taxable income of 14 lakhs, that does not mean I'm falling into this category and my income would be taxed at 30%. No, you divide your income into slabs. By slab rates means divide your income into slabs. That 2.5 lakh यहाँ पे, 2.5 lakh से 5 lakh यानी 2.5 lakh यहाँ पे, 5 lakh से 10 lakh, 5 lakh यहाँ पे, 14 lakhs है ना मेरी total income. और 4 लाख यहाँ पे. So what I did, I divided my 14 lakh का income into slabs. So first 2,50,000 pay, nothing is getting taxed. So the tax is nil. Next 2,50,000 pay, the income is getting taxed at the rate of 5%, which makes it 12,500. How did I come to 12,500? 2,50,000 ka 5%. Then next 5 lakhs pay, the income is getting taxed at the rate of 20%, which is 1 lakh. And next 4 lakhs pay, the income is getting taxed at the rate of 30%, which is 1,20,000. So on an income of 14 lakh, my tax is coming to 1,20,000 plus 1, 220 plus 12,500, which is 2,40,000. What happened here? Not 40, sorry, my bad. So 2,32,500. ये कैलकुलेट कैसे किया आप लोगों को समझ आया? I divided my income into slabs. So when my income is 14 lakhs hypothetically, that does not mean that I have to pay tax on 14 lakhs ka 30% just because it is falling under this category. No, I have to divide the income into slabs. Each slab ka tax rate would be applicable. So 2,50,000 पे nil, 2 लाख पे 5%, 12,500. फिर 5 लाख के स्लैब पे जो इनकम फॉलो हो रही 20%, 4 लाख जो बचा टोटल उस पे 30%, so total 2,32,500. Now this is 14 lakhs. Now you will ask me, what if my income is 9 lakhs? What if my income is 9 lakhs? Let's do it. Let's first remember 0 to 2.5 lakhs. Nil tax rate. So अगर मेरा income खाली 1 lakh rupees है, net taxable income, will I pay any tax? No, nil. If my income is 3 lakhs, do I have to pay tax? Yes. 2.5 lakhs से 2.5 lakhs है, 1 rupee plus, say 5 lakhs, 5%. 5 lakh 1 rupee से लेके 10 lakh तक 20%, and 10 lakh plus से 30%. जो इनकम 10 लाख के प्लस पे. So let's take an example of 9 lakhs का इनकम. अब you will not say कि ये 5 to 10 के बीच में पड़ता है तो 20%. No. 9 लाख की इनकम को I will divide it in slabs. पहला वाला स्लैब आया 2,50,000 पे. दूसरा वाला स्लैब comes into 2,50,000. थर्ड स्लैब come into this. 5 इधर चले गए, अब बचा सिर्फ 4 लाख. ठीक है, 5 lakh above कितना है? Only 4 lakhs. So that comes to 9 lakhs. So now on this 2,50,000, what is the tax rate? Nil. So nothing would be taxed. On the next 2,50,000, what is the tax rate? 5%. So 12,500. Or on the next 4 lakh 20%. So sir, 80,000. So 92,500 is my tax. Any doubt? Now quickly tell me the tax amount. I'm just talking about the tax amount on 12,50,000. If you got this, tell me the tax on 12,50,000. अभी यार स्टेप बाय स्टेप चलो, प्लीज डोंट फोकस ऑन सेस. अभी देयर आर मेनी पीपल हु माइट नॉट नो. ठीक है, सो आई विल गो इट in a step form. I do not want to rush up. स्तुति 2.5 से 5 के बीच में सिर्फ 2.5 लाख का इनकम है ना? How many of you got the answer? So the correct answer on how many of you got right? Nagam got right, very good. Rohit got right. Kujma got right. Saurabh got right. Chandan got right. Subhashish got right. Kirtana got right. Sridhar got right. Very good. Kirti, Vaishnavi, very, very good. 1,87,500 is the correct answer. Ma'am, कैसे आया? 262,500 तो नहीं आना चाहिए. सबसे पहले I have to divide my income into slab. It's called slab rate because there is a reason on it. First 2,50,000 पे tax would be nil. Next 2,50,000 का ही slab है. इसमें maximum 2.5 से 5 लाख का slab है. That means maximum 2.5 लाख तक की और income आ सकती है. So 2,50,000 पे I have to tax at 5%, which is again 12,500. Next 5 to 10 lakhs का एक और slab है, which is that means only the next 5 lakh income would be included. So I divided it here. 5 lakhs. Still 2,50,000 is remaining, which will go into my 30% slab. So total पहले तो 12,50,000 हो गया, इस पे nil, इस पे आ गया nil, इस पे आ गया 12,500, इस पे आ गया 1 lakh और 2,50,000 पे 75,000. So total 187,500. Those who got the answer, very good. Those who do not got the answer, no problem. Just see यहाँ पे did you match it now, and where did you go wrong? Amit, sorry, you're also right. I'm so sorry. Very good. Okay. So, Jyoti, why didn't your answer came correct? Sapna, did you identify where was the mistake? Okay. So last one. Tell me the tax on the income of 4,45,000. अभी सिर्फ खाली tax amount. I'm not touching any other aspect. So let's focus on this only. ये बहुत जरूरी है ना. $4,45,000 pay tax. The first one to answer it right would get a shout out. Very good, sort of. No, the first one to answer it right was Kojma. 9,750, 9,750. No, कविता असलियत में क्या होगा? I know, but please अभी खाली मेरे को tax amount चाहिए. I am not talking about the final tax liability. अभी we have not covered the entire tax part, but abhi, please go it step by step. I'm saying everyone again and again. So simple, 2,50,000 तक कुछ नहीं, 2,50,000 से लेके 4,45,000, which is your 1,95,000, उस पे 5%, 9,750. तो सबको टैक्स निकालना आया, which is the most important thing for me. Okay, अभी slab rates को तो use करो. Okay, now I told you this is the slab rate for individual HUF AOPPY. There is one more slab rate applicable to resident individual. which we'll see tomorrow, but who are senior citizens. Okay, so tomorrow we'll start it from here. But before to conclude the class, tax rate का journey इतना simple नहीं होता. First, you calculate the tax as per the rates. Then you add cess. Then if there is, this is the basic thing. Okay. Another combo is first you calculate the tax as per the rate. Then you add surcharge. Then you add cess. And एक और combo है, which is tax rate minus rebate, if applicable. Okay. But abhi I have not touched on any of the aspect because I want it to be explained in detail that why is this cess, why it is surcharge. So abhi I have only covered here. So those who are pro and have the knowledge of calculating the entire tax, please wait for the next session to get concluded. Okay? So abhi I just want that you people should know how to calculate the tax as per the slab. Now coming to the homework. First of all, in homework, you will calculate the tax for the income 35 lakhs and 7,80,000. Okay, this is your homework. Only the tax as per the slab rate, as per the rates. I don't want any other thing. Okay, 35 lakh and 7,80,000. Then you will read the entire chapter up till page number 1.31. Undisclosed sources of income से please, जितना भी है, please read the entire chapter. Okay. Next class में please get your calculators. Number 1, we will be doing lots of calculations. So tax rates clear होगा, उसी के बाद we will be proceeding with the next part. Undisclosed source of income, previous year assessment separate, वो वाला चीज थोड़ा सा theoretical है, which we'll be doing towards the end of the next class. But before this, I want you to cover all of these things. Now, आज का class to summarize was a very theoretical class. Just before the end, I'll come to the queries also. Yeah, it was a more of a theoretical class where I want you to understand the economic framework, the tax law framework. What are these different? We dedicated enough time to understand the word act, law, rules, finance act, circulars, notifications. We understand the category of persons. We understood the types of income in the sense of capital receipts, revenue receipts, regular receipts, turnover, sales, profit. We understand your assessment year previous year, which was most important. So this class, if you ask me, ma'am, is class ka weightage kitna hoga marks ka? That I cannot give a guarantee on, but what I can give a guarantee on that this class would have a weightage on your understanding of all the coming chapters, which have a good weightage. तो जो आने वाले चैप्टर्स हैं जिनका अच्छा खासा वेटेज है मार्क्स का एग्जाम में, उसका बेस आज का क्लास था. सो यू कैन जस्ट गिव अ लुक टू दिस क्लास. 2 hours बहुत है क्योंकि समझ आ जाएगा. इसको रिविजिट करना तब जब एक बार एंटायर कोर्स इज कवर्ड. सो रिविजिट दिस चैप्टर ओनली व्हेन द एंटायर कोर्स इज कवर्ड. दिस इज एज अ टीचर आई एम टेलिंग यू, बट फॉर बिल्डिंग द बेस दिस क्लास वाज इम्पोर्टेंट. ओके, सो any query which you want me to take? सेस पे आऊंगी, सब सरचार्ज पे आऊंगी, सब कुछ कराऊंगी नेक्स्ट क्लास में. नेक्स्ट क्लास में वी स्टार्ट विद द न्यू स्लैब रेट्स and we'll start with surcharge, we'll start with cess, but one by one, students, one by one, step by step. सेट ऑफ कैरी फॉरवर्ड असलम अलग से चैप्टर है, मत वरी करो भी, मत वरी करो. क्लबिंग, सेट ऑफ, ये जो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है ना, ये सब अपने में इंडिविजुअल चैप्टर्स है. इनको बस go through कर लो so that you know what would be coming ahead. Do not worry because of them. नॉर्मल कैलकुलेटेड इज अलाउड, कोई टैक्स वाला कैलकुलेटर इज नॉट अलाउड. रोबो को इनकम होगी, रोबो को टैक्स नहीं पे करना होगा. जो कंपनी रोबो को चला रही है उसको टैक्स करना पड़ेगा. Yes, Subhashish, I'll try to mention the amendments. Sorry, Kojma, it's Abdul Qadir. I'll remember in case I forget. Please remind me again. No, only before undisclosed of source of income ही पढ़ना है, and just give them a read. काफी चीजें there are technical. Do not worry. They are the chapters which will be covering. They are the entire income tax which we will be covering. So सब कुछ एक क्लास में नहीं होगा. It's just an overview. Do not worry. But previous year, assessment year, tax rate, category of persons, these are all the very important things. करंट ईयर कुछ नहीं होता इनकम टैक्स में. प्रीवियस ईयर, यूज द वर्ड प्रीवियस ईयर. करंट प्रीवियस ईयर यू कैन से, द रेलेवेंट प्रीवियस ईयर, द टर्म you can say the previous year is the financial year in which you are earning the income. So if I'm referring to my income which I earned in the year 2003 and 4, then my previous year is 2003 and 4. My assessment year is assessment year 4 and 3. Sorry, 4 and 5. Okay. Okay, done. So thank you so much. See you in the next class. Have a great weekend. Study well, but do not just study. Understand the concepts. Okay, that will help you all a lot. Thank you so much. All the best.